Hello guys, welcome back. My name is Nathan and today we're going to be taking a look at 5 NHL players who missed out on some humongous contracts. Now, whether it be because of circumstances or maybe bad play in their contract year, there is a lot of reasons why a player might not get paid as much as they deserve. But today we're going to be taking a look at 5 players who got absolutely robbed of more money and missed out on some humongous contracts as well. So, who do I see as the players who missed out on the most over their career or just in their current contract? And, well, which players missed out on the biggest contracts over the past couple of decades? Watch till the end for all the contract talk and all the hockey talk, and subscribe as well for more hockey videos just like this one. As I keep mentioning, 63% of the people that have watched this video or watched the videos over the past 28 days are not subscribed. So if you haven't, join the Graviteh. We'd love to have you here in the comments down below as well. And let me know all your thoughts. But today we're going to start off with the first player that missed out on a pretty humongous contract, that being Taylor Hall. Now, he, of course, got his recent payday. I say recent, it was like 2 months ago. He ended up signing with the Buffalo Sabres $8 million for 1 season. Basically, a tryout deal. Hey, we'll see what happens. You can go somewhere else afterwards. But Taylor Hall, before all this pandemic stuff happened, was looking like a player that could get paid upwards of $10, maybe even $11 million. There was a couple insiders as well that said maybe you could get up to that level if everything goes right. But for Taylor Hall, pretty much nothing went right. He was a player that was looking like such a great player back in 2018 when he won that Hart Trophy, and was looking like a guy that would be a part of that New Jersey team for the future and would get paid after this recent contract that he signed with Edmonton. That would not be the case. He would be traded to the Arizona Coyotes, where he had big expectations of maybe bouncing back, being away from New Jersey, and it just did not come to fruition. He ended up signing with Buffalo, of course, but it was a little bit of everything. Obviously, the pandemic had something to do with it, but if he played great during the 2020 season, he would have gotten a payday with guys like Alex Pietrangelo and Torrey Krug, and guys that got their money's worth. The fact is, Taylor Hall is a winger. That's less valuable. He's a guy that's not a goal scorer, which is less valuable, and he's a player that just has not played like himself since 2018. And he was a player that, obviously, the pandemic and all this different stuff that's affected the cap and affected different money issues, getting a 1-year deal pretty much seemed perfect. We'll see if he can get somewhat normal afterwards, but this is a player that missed out on a huge opportunity of getting an absolutely big one. And this is a player that, if he doesn't step up big in this next season for Buffalo, could be a player that just does not get that much of a chance going into the future. Again, I don't think the money issues are going to be a big thing that just goes away magically. I still think there's going to be teams that will be in trouble. And when you're looking at a guy like Taylor Hall, who's a big risk versus reward, sure, you could get that reward, but I mean, the Arizona Coyotes bid on that too. Didn't exactly work out too much for them. So a player that could have gotten $11 million settles for 8 and signs with the Buffalo Sabres. Not exactly the greatest situation for Taylor Hall, all things considered. And now going on to the second player that missed out on a pretty big paycheck. Next up, going to Wayne Simmonds of then on the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, I'm talking about when he was with Philly. He missed out on a pretty big opportunity. Now, Wayne Simmonds signed a 2-year extension with Philadelphia for the 2011-2012 season, which would pay him about $1.75 million, and he would do pretty well. In 2012, he'd get 49 points in 82 games. The next year, 32 points in 45 games. And Wayne Simmonds was looking like a guy that was progressing really well as this great grinder, great scorer, great overall talent, and Wayne Simmonds could have bet on himself. He could have had a bridge deal, another 2-year deal perhaps, but he ended up going for a 6-year deal, paid him $3.975 million per year. And right after that, Wayne Simmonds really started to get going. In 2014, he got 60 points in 82 games. The next year, 50 and 75. In 2016, 60 points once again in 82 games. And the next year, 54 points in 82 games in 2017. This is a player that basically decided to go against betting on himself, signed that 6-year deal, thought it was basically going to get the most he could, and then right afterwards, he basically just started destroying worlds. Now, maybe he needed the security to actually get the confidence to do that well, but if Wayne Simmonds waited like a couple of years, put up that 60-point season, put up that 50-point season, then maybe another 60-point season, and he had like this 3-year bridge deal and then came to the big deal, that could have been insanely important for Wayne Simmonds. Honestly, at that point, you probably get him, you don't get him for less than like 5.5 at that point, and that's a player that Philadelphia would have really had to pay. During his time, in that 6-year contract, Wayne Simmonds was looked at as one of the best deals in the NHL, and deservedly so. He was a guy that basically could do everything. He could score, he could punch, he could do all you wanted to as this great hockey player. And unfortunately, he just did not get that paycheck. He ended up getting a 5-year or a 1-year deal from the New Jersey Devils, which was $5 million, but it was only a 1-year deal, and he could have gotten a lot more, again, if he just had that bridge deal, if he just waited a couple more years and then really started to get going. I think he could have been a mainstay for the Philadelphia Flyers and could have been a really big payroll guy as well. Sadly, he didn't get that much, but he still makes pretty good money, making basically $4 million for 6 years. That's not too bad, so it is what it is. And now we go on to the third player that missed out on a huge contract, and I just want to I just want to know who this agent is that is in charge of Nathan MacKinnon. Well, I kind of spoiled the answer, but number 3 is Nathan MacKinnon. MacKinnon, coming off his entry-level contract, was a player that had some difficulties. I mean, in his first season, he won the Calder Trophy, getting 63 points in 82 games, but the next year would kind of be a little bit disappointing. He got 38 points in 64 games, wasn't as good, and then the next season got a little bit more improved, getting 52 points in 72 games. And after that 2016 season, he, of course, was up as an RFA and could sign for as long and as much as he wanted, except not really because Colorado had to pay him. But he would be going into the 2017 season with a brand new contract. That contract would end up being a 7-year deal at $6.3 million. And I just want to, like, who did that? Was that Nathan MacKinnon's idea? Because it's not looking too great right now. Was that the agent's idea? Nathan, you gotta fire that man. I mean, you got the money now, my goodness. But it could have been a lot more. If we just look at what Nathan MacKinnon did after that contract. In 2017, he still looked a little bit off, but that was because Colorado was terrible. Got 53 points in 82 games. The next year, 97 points in 74 games played, 99 in 82, and then this season, 93 points in 69 games played. This is a player that should be paid at least $11 million, at least. It starts right there after this next contract. But Nathan MacKinnon is going to go into this 2021 season with 2 more seasons on this contract right after. He has this season, then 2022, then 2023, still at $6.3 million. That's the kind of magic that the Colorado Avalanche have been able to pull out of nothing. And this is a player that, again, when we look at like Wayne Simmonds and how he should have signed a bridge deal, Nathan MacKinnon is the ultimate example. I mean, he's a guy that could have bet on himself. Obviously, it would have worked out for him if he just continued the way he paved. But this was a player that was basically, when he was about to sign in 2016, he was age 20. He really didn't have that much leverage, sure. But this was a player that was going to get better. And was basically at the bottom of his career of what he actually would produce. We all knew he would get better, and then he signed a 7-year contract. I'm freaking sick of the Avs, dude. Maybe this is just me. Maybe this is just me ranting or something, but I don't know how the heck this contract got through to the official sources. Like, it was like someone like, hey, like Colorado was just like, hey, Nathan, will you take 6.3? And he's like, all right. And then that's just how it went. That's just how it was. And Nathan MacKinnon just said yes to that, and he just accepted it. I don't know. Maybe Nathan MacKinnon is this good because of it. I have no idea. Either way, he's gone out and said that he does want to take less for Colorado to win, and that's perfectly acceptable. But I don't think in 2016, when he was 20 years old, he was really thinking that far ahead. In that case, at least, if he took like a 2-year contract and then his contract was up in like after 2018, where he put up 97 points, the guy would be paid at least Austin Matthews money. It's a dang shame, man, because he's one of the best players in the NHL. He deserves to be paid like it, and he will be paid like it after this contract. The Avs will definitely put out the whole garage of money to make it happen, but the point still stands. I mean, he's up for he still has 3 more years left in his contract. 3 more years! Freaking unfair, man. And now going on to the 4th player that deserved way more money in his career and deserved a lot bigger of a contract. That being Chris Kunitz of the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I'm kind of sad he didn't make more money because he absolutely deserved it. He had like a kind of 3-year contract. I think it was actually 3 years. Let me double check here. Actually, it was a 4-year contract starting in 2008 from 2012, where he made 3.75 or 25, and then he would sign a 2-year deal after the 2012 season, for the exact same money. And after the 2012 season, no less, I mean, just looking at his stats, he got 61 points in 82 games. And then after the 2014 season, and I just want to preface this by saying, in 2013, he ended up collecting 52 points in 48 games. And in 2014, he got 68 points in 78 games. So you're thinking maybe there's a big pay raise for him. Maybe he goes somewhere else. Maybe he just goes off Pittsburgh. But the guy is an absolute madman, and after that ends up signing a 3-year deal with the Pittsburgh Penguins. It wouldn't be too much of a raise, $3.85 million, and that would take him until the end of the 2017 season. Of course, the rest would be history. He would earn 2 Stanley Cups. So the thing is, he could have deserved more money, but he won 2 Stanley Cups in the end. Obviously, he got the huge goal for the Penguins against the Ottawa Senators. Sorry, Sens fans. Kind of just had to mention that. But this was a player that, again, at his prime in 2013, was over a point per game. In 2014, 68 points in 78 games played. This was a terrific offensive player and a fantastic playoff player as well. He stayed with the Pittsburgh Penguins, paid his dues, and won his Stanley Cups. And in that time, honestly, you gotta respect it. And now we're gonna go on to the 5th player that got just destroyed and turned down some massive money on the table. Cody Franson of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, if you don't know Cody Franson's story, let me just sit you down and give some story time, some Grav story time right now. But Cody Franson, of course, was a Nashville Predators draftee, and he played his first couple of seasons with the Preds, most notably in 2011, where he got 29 points in 80 games played. The prior year got 21 points in 61 games played. He was sent to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and especially in 2014, which was the main year he really got going, he got 33 points on the board in 79 games played, but also in the lockout shortened season in 2013, got 29 points in 45 games played. That 2013 season and 2014 as well was really where Cody Franson really broke out. And then the 2015 season came, and the Leafs were doing a lot of contract negotiations, trying to make stuff happen. And basically, right after all this stuff happened, in the 2015 season, he was traded immediately to the Nashville Predators, back to the team that originally drafted him. And there was a lot of trade rumors at the time, and what ended up coming out was that Cody Franson, the Leafs were doing a lot of contract negotiations at that time. Cody Franson turned down a multi-year deal at an average annual value of $4.6 million. Now, we don't know exactly how long that deal was, but a multi-year deal, it's probably like a 2 or 3 at least, and that's a player that was looked at as a pretty great offensive mind for Toronto and a pretty good part of that core going forward. But negotiations kind of fell through, and he was immediately traded to Nashville. His stint in Nashville didn't really last too long. He got 4 points in 23 games played. Pretty much a dud of a trade there. He ended up going to the Buffalo Sabres, where it just would not work out whatsoever. He would get 17 points in 59 games in 2016, and then 19 points in 68 games in 2017. He would end up being signed by the Chicago Blackhawks in 2018, where he would get 7 points in 23 games played, and that would be it for his NHL career. A guy that was looked at as one of the best young offensive defensemen in the NHL, and a guy that could have gotten a $4.6 million contract for a pretty long time, ended up being traded to Nashville, signing with Buffalo for a lot less, and the rest was history. So for Toronto, didn't exactly work out the greatest, and for Cody Franson specifically, he could have had a much better career if he just stayed with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And yeah, that team wasn't going really anywhere, but it's a lot better than Nashville, and it's a lot better than the Buffalo Sabres, where defense goes to die. And Cody Franson saw that firsthand and experienced it firsthand. Not exactly something I wish upon my worst enemy. Going to the Buffalo Sabres, not kind to you. And yeah, that'll be it for today, folks. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification bell as well to get notified on all the new uploads on this channel. Make sure you share this video with your friends, get it out there. Comment down below, what do you think of these players that missed out on big contracts? And do you know of any players that maybe I would have missed? Let me know. And click on this card as well for all my NHL trade talk right on playlist. My name is Nathan. Thanks so much for joining me on this ride, and I'll see you in the next video or stream. Goodbye.